Good evening. How's everybody doing? I'd like to thank Tim Farrell for his very kind words earlier. If you were in New Jersey in I don't want to give the year, but listening to 88.7 FM, you might have been listening to Tim Farrell and Mike Emanuel talk Rutgers sports. And hopefully nobody here has any tapes. All kidding aside, I hope you're all ready for a great evening. Not only is tonight the night that we celebrate the 6 outstanding young people who will receive the 2015 Military Child of the Year Award, but April is the month of the military child. This celebration is a legacy of former Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, established to underscore the important role children play in the armed forces community. And I've got to tell you, I get asked to do a lot of events. I'm a very blessed guy. And my wife, who is home with our little angels tonight, asked me what makes Operation Homefront so special. And I said, well, Chairman Dempsey singing a duet. It's pretty special. But it is about the children and the amazing patriots you get to meet at this event. So thank you for having me. Tonight, you're going to meet 6 young people who embody the spirit of the military at the highest level. I hope that when you've left here tonight, you'll have a greater appreciation for our military families and the fact that they need our support every night, every day, and every month. Between the active duty and reserve force, there are nearly 2 million military kids out there, moving on average 6 to 9 times before graduating high school. These young people defined resiliency and adaptability. For those adults here tonight, you know all too well that life is about change. But for many of us, that realization can take a lifetime. For many military kids, that realization occurs before the end of elementary school. I am very pleased to introduce to you our keynote speaker this evening. After graduating from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 2005, Jason Brown was drafted into the National Football League, playing 4 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens and 3 more with the St. Louis Rams. When Jason was a free agent in 2012, with several lucrative offers on the table from the Baltimore Ravens, Carolina Panthers, and the San Francisco 49ers, he decided instead to take a leap of faith and walk away from the NFL. Jason moved back to North Carolina and purchased a 1,000-acre farm in Lewisburg. How about that? 2014 turned out to be a breakthrough year for First Fruits Farm. The farm hosted the first annual Youth Fishing Derby, hosted graduated students from NC State University. Whoa, wait a minute. Didn't you go to Chapel Hill? All right, that's fair and balanced, maybe? All right, so forgive me. He hosted graduated students from NC State University and collaborated with many faith and service organizations. The Browns farm yielded about 10,000 pounds of cucumbers and 120,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, which were given to food pantries and churches throughout the Triangle area. I'm going to applaud that. More than 600 volunteers lent helping hands in gleaning and harvesting events. In his work through Wisdom for Life Ministries and the First Fruit Farms, Jason and his remarkable wife, Tay, here with 4 beautiful children, are demonstrating how to live a life of purpose. Jason serves as a great example of community development through agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jason Brown.
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm going to put my timer on before I start because I was an interpersonal communications major at Carolina, and I do love to talk. I shared that with Tim that I would, try and be respectful of everyone's time this evening, and he said, "Oh no, take your time, take all the time you want." And my wife said, "No, no, no." Don't give him that leeway, Tim. But good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, award recipients. It is my honor, my pleasure to be before you this evening. I was invited here to be an inspiration to some of you and to your youth. But even before I got here, after reading the bios of these remarkable youth that we have here tonight, I am the one inspired. I am so thankful to be a part of this experience. Now, when I was doing a little bit of background research on this event, Military Child of the Year, I started looking all around online, even looked on Twitter, and I saw that there was a hashtag, MCOY, McCoy. So when I typed that in, of course, there was so much different information that came up, and I was trying to find the real McCoy, okay? Now, a little bit of a history lesson here. If anyone doesn't know where that phrase was coined, a gentleman by the name of Elijah McCoy, an African-American gentleman more than 100 years ago, he was an inventor. He holds more than 50 U.S. patents, specifically designated for the steam engine locomotive. And his devices that he used on those engines were so special and so unique that every locomotive captain said, "We have to have that man's equipment on our trains, on our steam engines, to make sure that they keep going." Now, of course, there were a lot of cheap knockoffs, and they looked the same, but they didn't function the same. And when they were used, their engines, they would break down. And guess what? Those steam engine operators, they said, "We just don't want anything. We want the real McCoy." So if you're looking for the best and the brightest that our country has to offer, in our youth, look no further than this room right here. Amen. These children, they are the real McCoy. Now, a lot of people, they find me intriguing a little bit as well. My story has been coined the curious case of Jason Brown. Why, and for godly reasons, why? No one can explain, why would this man leave the NFL, leave fortune and fame behind to pursue a life much more humbling, a life of humility, a life of service, something where there is no fortune or fame. And a lot of people, they looked at me as though something was wrong with me, as though, like, "Hey, man, I don't know what you've got, but yeah, I don't want it. Like, you stay away from me. It might rub off on me," right? And almost as though what I had was a disease. Now, everyone in the room tonight, I thank you for looking at me as an inspiration, but it really left some people clueless as to why I would do such a thing. there's a lot of people, they look at our youth, our award recipients here in the house tonight, and they wonder about you as well. Why aren't you, out there doing some of the crazy, foolish things in the world? Why aren't you out there, I don't know, out partying or socializing, doing some of these other crazy things? Why are you so focused? What makes you do what you do? Why is your heart so big? Now, what some people would look at as a problem, I look at it as you're living your life with purpose. Another background story. Okay? Now, there was a great racehorse by the name of Secretariat that won the Triple Crown, a feat that is extremely hard and extremely rare to do. He won the last race by more than 30 lengths. Unheard of, unheralded. When this great racehorse died, they performed an autopsy on his body. Now, the average racehorse, its heart weighs about 8.5 pounds. The heart of Secretariat weighed 22 pounds. Now, that is a marvel, pretty much a miracle for a horse to have a heart that large. Some medical professionals or veterinarians would say that that horse shouldn't have had a heart that big. And you know what? That's an abnormality. Really, that horse, I don't know how it served a purpose like that at all. But yet, with what God gave him, he served his purpose, and he did something special. He did something unique. He did something world-changing, world-shattering. And when I look at the youth tonight, not physically is your heart, 3 times the size of everyone else's, but spiritually, on the inside, there's something working within your heart that has changed you and molded you into the youth that you are today. And looking at your bios and some of your stories, I see how much you've been influenced by your family, how much you've been influenced by your parents, different service leaders around you. And also, yes, how some of you have even been influenced by tragedy. A little bit of the background of my story that after I share it with you, you'll be able to understand what makes Jason Brown the man that he is today. When I was your age, a teenager, I was doing teenager things. Really didn't care about a life of service. All I cared about was myself, okay? Now, I had an older brother, 7 years older than I, and he was the most awesome big brother in the world. Most awesome. I don't know if anyone saw the movie that just came out. What was it called? Unbroken? Anyone remember the awesome big brother that he had in that movie? That was my big brother. Like, I just shattered crying tears when I saw that movie. That was my big brother. He gave me encouragement every single day. He wanted me to be an even better person than he was. He said, Jason, you're going to be somebody. You're going to go to school, you're going to make good grades, you're going to go to college, and you're going to do what you have to do to be successful. Now, of course, I was doing those things, and I earned a scholarship to attend the University of North Carolina. Now, of course, my head and my ego started to become out of control. And I thought I was hot stuff, okay? Now, the good big brother that he was, you know what he told me? He said, look, you need to humble yourself. Get off your high horse He told me that I'm always going to be your big brother. No matter how much hot stuff you think you are, I'm always going to be bigger than you, faster than you, and stronger than you. And I said, hey, now I just earned a scholarship. Hey, we're going to have to put that to the test. So he challenged me to a foot race. And we went out there. It was a Sunday. We were in our Sunday's best. Didn't matter. Big brother challenged you to a race. And we ran. And the most humbling thing was, it wasn't even close. Because he spanked me good. And then afterwards he said, see, you need to humble yourself, okay? Take humility in your high position. Now, still, the spoiled little brat that I was, in my anger, you know what I told him? I said, I just earned a scholarship to play football for the University of North Carolina. What are you doing with your life that's so great? And that was a really hurtful thing to say. My sister witnessed it, and she said, Jason, that was wrong. You're a butthole. You shouldn't have done that. Hey, it's true. She said, you're a butthole. That's a foul word, guys. Hey, we don't want to throw that word around freely, all right? But, she was right. But somehow, some reason, I had pierced a nerve in my brother's heart. Over the next couple of months, he was out training, getting in shape, dieting, changed his whole life around. And I said, everyone's like, hey, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to join the army. Out of anything that he could have done in the world, he decided to turn his life over to service. Now, a couple of years later, I was at the University of North Carolina, and in 2003, my brother, he had already enlisted. He was first stationed in Germany and then called into service in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, I'm still thinking I'm hot stuff, guys. This is my junior season at Carolina. And my mother and my father, they had visited one of our last scrimmages at the end of training camp. And our coach allowed us to go out and eat dinner with our parents. So this was late August of 2003. And I'm just complaining to my mother about, hey, we weren't a good football team last year. We're not going to be a good football team this year, Mom. And all the guys are selfish. And let me tell you why. Kind of ironic. I'm saying everybody else is selfish, right? And Mom is just listening. I'm sitting right behind her in the passenger seat. And this goes on for about 10 minutes. And if there's any shoulder that you can cry on, of course it's Mama's, right? But Mama didn't say a word. She let me ramble on until I said, Mama, is everything all right? All of a sudden, she lashed out at me. She said, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. And I'm like, whoa, like what has gotten into this woman? And then she said that nothing of what you're going through right now can compare to what your brother is going through fighting for our country over in Afghanistan. Guys, I would have rather my mother smack me across the face. I would have rather she had taken off her belt and given me a good lashing. Because what she had just shared with me verbally pierced me right to my soul. That taught me right then and there to never complain and to never give any excuses. Because no matter what you think you're going through on your worst day, there's always somebody else that is going through much worse. And little did I know that we were going to receive a phone call and a knock at the door the very next month, September 20th of 2003. My older brother was laid to rest. Now, all throughout my career, collegiate and professionally, people have rooted for me. They have cheered for me. Some children have even labeled me as their idol or their hero. And I feel as though that word hero is thrown around much too loosely, because I know a hero. My older brother was a hero. I lost a hero. And nothing of what I did then and even now can compare to what he gave for our country. And no amounts of whenever I played football, and even farming right now and giving back and everything that I do, have I risked my life or dodged bullets or come to the point of shedding my own blood. And what I thought was best was that I could best serve my brother's memory by continuing to be the best man that I could be. He encouraged me when I was out there on the football field. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be the best football player that I can possibly be. I went on to become drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, and I dominated. I went on to earn the highest free agent contract ever for a center. And then 7 years later, when I turned 27 years old, the same age that my brother was when he was killed in Afghanistan, it was a turning point, kind of a flick of a switch. And I looked in the mirror, and here's the question that I asked myself, guys. Jason, what are you doing with your life that's so great? The same thing that the spoiled brat, snotty-nosed kid had presented to his own brother several years earlier. And I couldn't answer that question. I was 27 years old, and I was going through a midlife crisis. I was living and pursuing the American dream, but yet at the same time, you're leaving behind and alienating the rest of the Americans. I immediately came home and I shared with my wife that we have it all wrong. Like we've got to get back to our foundation, our morals, our faith. And from that point forward, it was faith and family. Never again will we make another decision for our family based on the almighty dollar. It was at that point that God began to work in our lives, and he began to take us on the most transformational, beautiful, miraculous journey to the point of what you see today. We stepped out on faith, walked away from millions of more dollars, put our home on the market in St. Louis, and didn't even know where we would be moving to. Back in North Carolina. One of the most humbling things is that we moved in with my parents for 2 months. That's a testament to how strong my wife is, okay? To move in with her mother-in-law. I love you, dear. I don't know how you did it, but thank you for pulling through it, okay? And every step of the way, if you had told me 3 years ago, Jason, you're going to be a farmer, I would have laughed at you in your face. I said, really? Me? At the highest point, the mountain that I was on, I didn't see it. But yet, there was a stirring in my heart. It was as though the same way that I had pricked my brother, he had pricked me right back. And it's amazing and miraculous at how the hearts of the youth in the house tonight have been pricked at such a young age. I hope that it becomes contagious to your families, to your friends, and all around you, that it permeates all throughout the room tonight, that all of us become infected with this thing called love and service to our fellow man. It's an awesome feeling, guys. It's an even more so awesome feeling that every step of the way, we have been comforted, especially in not knowing, what we were going to do next and how we were going to, fulfill this dream of farming. This year, our goal is to harvest 250,000 pounds of sweet potatoes. And we said to ourselves, how are we going to distribute all of these sweet potatoes? As soon as we asked that question, we received an email from a young lady from Feed the Children, who is also connected with Operation Homefront. And she said, we have semi, trucks, and trailers. We can provide 2 of them for you right there at the harvest to take away 80,000 pounds. So later on this year at our harvest, Feed the Children is going to receive 80,000 pounds of sweet potatoes that are going to be distributed to more than 8,000 military families up and down the eastern seaboard. And guys, none of this effort is coming from me. This is just, when you're doing right and you're serving God, He opens doors every step of the way. And I've received confirmation every step of the way that we're doing the right thing. And I want to share with every single one of the youth tonight that you're doing the right thing. Continue to walk the good walk. Continue to love and to serve. There's so many things that inspired me when reading you guys' bios. Whereas I relate with every single one of you. And I want to just open up my heart with you right now and impart and share some wisdom with you guys this evening, if you'll let me. But the thing is that you already have it in you. And I correlate this to the wizard at the end of The Wizard of Oz. Sharing with them something that they already had in themselves. It's just giving them and empowering them that they know and they have the confidence to be able to step out on their own. So when I look at young Kevin, who says that his family has grown by leaps and bounds by every veteran that he has touched out there. That's remarkable, brother. Because I want to share with you that my family has grown by leaps and bounds as well. When we had doubt in not knowing how we were going to harvest all of those sweet potatoes last year, we received a contact from the Society of St. Andrews, which is a gleaning network, and they were able to help us supply more than 500 volunteers to harvest every single one of those sweet potatoes. And they went out there and they worked extremely hard for 2 to 3 hours. And after they worked, not only did they come up exhausted and tired, but they thanked me for the experience. But I say, nay, I thank you. So, Kevin, just as your family is growing, my family is growing as well. Not just in the community, but yes, we do have 4 children, so we do have a growing family. Yes. And also, by the way, that is traditional for a farming family, okay? I know it's not traditional for the general population. And also, there's no child labor laws for your own children, okay? So we're just going to throw that in there. But Kevin, continue to help out with your organization, with the Socks for Vets, and continue to help your sister as well. I was overwhelmed earlier when his younger sister, little Miss Lorelei, gave me one of her heart hugs, and she told me that it was in memory of my older brother that passed, and that was the most beautiful, genuine, unique gift that I've received in a long time, guys, in a long time. Lorelei, you have the most beautiful heart, and I thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful family. To Zachary, you said that you do not find who you are in life, but you create who you are. I want to share with you, brother, that your attitude is so awesome, and that your attitude determines your altitude. You have a spirit of optimism, just like me. So if everyone looks on their table tonight and you see a cup or your glass that's about at the halfway mark, Zachary and I, that glass is half full, okay? We see optimism in everything that we do. There are defining moments of adversity where we have to make the decision whether to throw in the towel and give in, or to rise to the challenge and give your best, no matter the consequences. Zachary, you are a fighter. And I thank you for your fighting spirit, brother. I thank you so much. And it's the same thing that I'm doing every single day on the farm. I can have a handful of seeds that can feed this entire room, but no harvest and no fruit is going to be produced unless those seeds are sown. And yes, it takes that creative spirit to sow those seeds. Continue to do it, brother. Thank you so much. To Miss Emily, you stated in your quote, to try and be a rainbow in someone's cloud. And immediately, I began to smile because I'm cheesy at heart, just like that. I just want to let you know. I really just want to let you know. And because I'm a dreamer, all right? At first, when my wife met me, she was like, you're just so spirited. Like, you just want to save the world. And I'm like, yes, I do. And I truly believe that. One person at a time, and spreading kindness and hope that it may come back around, that it might make someone's day. I love your spirit because you're such a dreamer just like me. One of my favorite movies that inspired me growing up was Pay It Forward. I know you've seen that as well, right? The movie Pay It Forward. It inspired me to have a spirit of giving and loving just like you, in hopes that I would have a positive impact on someone's life. Now, I literally receive confirmation on a daily basis by people who come up to me with the most beautiful smile, telling me how much I've inspired them and their lives. That gives me confirmation and adds fuel to my tank to continue to press forward and to never stop giving and to never stop loving. I want to give you confirmation right now that you're doing the right thing. Keep giving. And I hope that everyone continues to come back to you with a smile and tell you how wonderful and beautiful you are for your giving spirit. Thank you so much. Miss Sarah, you remind yourself every morning that your voice matters when you fight for the disadvantaged youth and you empower them with their voice that matters too. I immediately think of the poem, Lift Every Voice, which is also adopted as the Negro National Anthem. And if